The bliss of the abyss, it's here now.
Hello, welcome back to the Bliss of the Abyss. It's me, it's your host, it's Robert Neumark Jones. I've also been known as Rusk in Denmark for the last 20,000 years. I've always been here, I shall always be here. Apart from when I die and come back as an ant, I will come back as an ant. How are you doing? I hope you are well. I have just got today's Wordle in 3 moves, so suck on that. Today is another episode of The Bliss of the Abyss. That's the podcast you're listening to. That's the one you subscribe to in the feed. You click the button, you download it. Today, as a guest, I have my older brother, the older one. Got 2 of them. This one's the older one. His name's Thomas. Tom Neumark Jones. Was a stand-up comedian, is now a CEO. How about that? That's the usual trajectory that most people go on. I hear he's been at one of Boris's parties. Wee, topical, birthday party, birthday bash. That's the news today. 15 parties during lockdown, and the list only keeps growing. Anyway, this is a very political podcast. That's why we're number 1 in the political charts in Vietnam. That's only slightly a joke. So, what can I tell you about today's conversation with Thomas Neumark, or Neumark, if you will, Jones? Well, we talk about a lot, but we do talk about Hardy's poetry. Now, that might turn some of the listeners off, and I understand. Now, I like to think I've cultivated quite an erudite, educated audience, but the facts don't bear me out. You lot are a load of absolute scumbags. But there we go. What can you do about it, hey? You get what you pay for. That's right, I pay for my listeners. But we don't only talk about Thomas Hardy's poetry, although we do. We also talk about the egg limit of the day, how aquafaba can save us all, post-Soviet sad 3D games, Tom Cruise, cults, and why Jesus is so ripped. It was a fun conversation. Tom is a dad, right? These days, aren't you? Tom, if you're listening, don't deny it. You're a dad. You're a dad. Now, what this means is I don't get much time to spend with him just completely bullshitting. So, and even this is a shorter episode than usual because, you know, I don't have time, I'm busy being a dad. So, it's really nice when I get a chance to just shoot the shit with him. He's a very funny human being. What about people who say that about, you know, people? One of my favourite humans. Okay, cool. Who are some of your favourite lemurs? What's your favourite goldfish? Anyway, Tom's really funny. He's got a very unique take on things, as I think you'll hear. And the Facebook algorithm, I really wanted to talk to him about this because it seems to think that he's very involved in the world of anti-bullying, particularly fictional anti-bullying. But we didn't get to it. We simply did not have the time. So, without further ado, here is an important conversation. Unfiltered conversations about important topics. Sorry. So, you know what? You know how I used to say podcasts are my favourite medium? They're now my least favourite medium, okay? Stop thinking you're so important, unfiltered, crucial. I think we listen with our eyes and we hear with our hands. These are important conversations. You know, it's just shut up, all right? Just listen or don't. And it's that attitude that has led me to have the number 1 podcast in Vietnam in the business category. Anyway, without any further ado, please enjoy this conversation between myself and Thomas Neumark Jones.
Have you heard the In Our Time on Tom Hardy's poetry?
But of course I haven't.
It's the absolute sickness. It's ridiculously ill. It's like it's dangerously unwell. It's like it's got COVID. It's by the ventilator. It's like there's no coming back from it.
Is this Thomas Hardy or the
big time TH. Mr. H himself. Tomboy.
Of course, very famous. I noticed Jem, in fact, posted a poem of Tom Hardy's today. Bit weird. Maybe he's listened to the In Our Time as well.
100% he's listened to the In Our Time as well.
Bit of a weird choice, but we won't go into the one he chose and why it's weird, but, a bit strange.
It's very, very sad.
His whole life is a fucking tragedy. Have you ever read any of his novels?
Yeah.
They're all fucking disasters. I mean, they're fun. But
how about this, though? Almost all of the saddest poems are ones he wrote about, like, women who he just treated like absolute S throughout their entire lives. And then as soon as he died, he was like, oh my God, I love you so much. And they were like, what have you done for me recently, though? Like, it would have been nice to...
His tale as old as time. I was reading about F. Scott Fitzgerald's life recently.
Oh, Zelda and all of that.
Yeah, basically all of his books they're quote-unquote semi-autobiographical, which is just another way of saying, I rearranged their faces and gave them all another name, right? Because then when you read his life alongside it, it's just like, okay, he was an alcoholic. He did kind of fake his way into high society. It did all fall apart. He was obsessed with this woman. He got her on like a bunch of drugs, and it was like unclear if she needed them, but then she definitely did need them because she went completely mad, possibly as a result of all the drugs. And then she wrote this book about how crap it was living with him, which was very poorly received. And then he wrote another book about how crap it was living with her. It was very well received.
Rinsed.
Didn't help things at all.
What is it in Great Gatsby? The eggs are the
Yes. West Egg and East Egg. That's where they live.
Come on, man! You don't want to be living in East Egg or West Egg. I mean, much more West Egg, but
much more West
you don't
Egg.
want to be living on the eggs, though. That's a bad scene.
Right, the East Egg. Which egg are you on? I'm on East Egg.
I'm at the other egg to you. Could you come over to me? Oh, now we've missed each other. I thought you were coming to me in the East Egg, and now you're in the East Egg, and I'm in the West Egg. Yeah.
If you had to cook yourself an egg, and you do, 2 questions: how are you going to do it, and what's your limit on eggs for the day? I feel like you have a high limit.
No limit.
No.
The limit is not eggs. The limit is time. That is the only thing that's stopping me eating
and eggs. Famously quick to cook and consume.
I've been on a journey with eggs.
Oh,
I'm on a journey.
Oh, wait, you're doing veganuary or vegan 2022 or vegan for the rest of your life, something like that.
I thought of the most vegan 2022 sentence that I thought the other day was, oh my God, I've spilt vegan protein powder all over my jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were your jeans leather?
They're just jeans, but they're slightly stained because it's a brown rice-based protein powder.
Ooh, the richest source of protein known to man.
I think if you grind it up enough, you get something out of it. Not a lot, but something. It's very bland.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I used to be on the scramble the eggs for a long time at the low heat, which I believe is the French method.
Okay.
Like a French. When I was a kid, like calling something French had a lot more connotations. French letters, French kissing. I don't feel like anyone would say French kissing anymore, would they?
Did you French kiss? I don't know. I mean, it would be weird if you said it to your partner, darling. Would you like to French kiss?
We've got 2 minutes. The bus isn't going to be here for a while. Fancy a French kiss? Yeah.
I believe it's like one of those slurs, though, like Dutch courage. It's like actually meant to be like,
the French are like, we never kiss with tongues. And the insinuation that we do is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great slight on our nation.
Just like the French do.
But it's so funny that the English would come up for they're like, over there, they use their tongues, if you could imagine such thing. I mean, maybe, once every Christmas or something like that, if I've had a sherry. But normally, I mean, a firm handshake and just a gunshot to the head. But I used to use the French method, I believe, the sexiest of the eggs.
It is quite a sexy method. You kind of gently caress it. It's
just and it becomes a kind of gelatinous
and you kind of eat it all. But I feel like that's a 3-egg process, really. You're not getting more than 5 eggs in there.
It's also limiting the time as well.
Yeah.
Whereas
if you want to be trying to get as
if
many
you want to
maximize
the egg consumption in a given day, which I normally do, it's not the right approach. Whereas I now use what I believe is the American approach, where you get the pan really hot, with butter on, throw them on like a minute.
Maybe flip them if you don't want the yolk.
Still yolky, like still runny, basically like a liquid. When you turn it off, let it cool for a minute. Bomb. You could probably eat 100 eggs an hour using that method.
I don't think that's possible. I mean, my GI tract just regurgitated itself and is now on the floor. I think
that wasn't your GI tract. Yeah,
a 5-egg day, I think, is fair. I think anything more than that, you're in rocky territory. However, what about like some kind of weird, like vegan molded shaped egg made from, what do they call it? Aquafaba.
Aquafaba.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is quite a good branding compared to chickpea juice, which is a bad name. Yeah.
Yeah. No one's into that.
I mean, I'm sure you could eat a ton of that, but the suicidal thoughts will come in, and that's not a good sign, is it?
Is that science or
science of suicide thoughts? Yeah.
That's well
documented. That's why they stopped calling it suicide juice as a rebrand and went for.
That's where aquafaba came from. It is a very weird thing to call something that's just like, what's salt water? Brine. Everything's got just sort of basic names.
That's a bad. Yeah, that's a bad.
We've got pilchards in brine.
You're like, no, maybe pay someone to come up with a new name or something like that. Yeah.
Did you see this thing on Steam? Speaking of pilchards in brine, makes me think of Russia. There's this game. Well, I say game. It's called a walking sim. Are you familiar with this?
No.
What walking sim is. So it's a type of video game where you just walk around and interact with stuff, but you don't. Sure. There's not really a plot or characters or anything you have to particularly do. It's more like a mood. So it's this one. It's a post-Soviet sad 3D game. It's called It's Winter. As you can see, if you've ever been to Russia, that is pretty much what it looks like. Nothing awaits you, just a broken radio, loneliness, and endless snow. So there we go.
I'm willing to test whether or not it's endless. I'll dedicate my entire life to seeing if we'll see who breaks first.
Actually, it's interesting you should say that, right? So there's the loyal fans, right? Guess how long the average person plays it for, and how long the person who's managed to play it the longest played it for.
The average person plays it for 4 hours, and the person who's played the longest plays it for 286 hours.
Okay, yeah, you've gone by probably double and then 4 times. So 2 hours is kind of the max where they act, and then 36 hours. Bear in mind, you're just walking around a post-Soviet USSR.
I like those guys though that try and test the limit of these games, and they're like, what if I just walk in a straight line for 2 days and see if the computer game goes weird and stuff like that? What if I just hit this wall constantly and see what happens, and it like bends the fabric of the game?
Yeah, that's quite good. Or if you just keep walking and it's like, we didn't pixelate anything here, but you can still walk, so you just walk in an empty kind of void. But
then you keep going. Exactly. But then you keep going through the void, and then it's like it's just a whole new game you come through into, and they're like, we didn't even make this game. What's going on here? Like,
You're in GTA 5. They're like, this is not legal.
How's he crossed over? Oh my God.
This is someone else's IP.
When you said I saw something on Steam, it was one of the this has been happening to me quite a lot recently. I was like, I'm impossibly old. I was like, I don't know what that means. I saw it on Steam. That's like when I read showbiz news now, When they talk about like, oh, Zendaya is Michi, I'm like, oh, I'm ancient. One's good or maybe bad. I mean, either way.
Haven't you always been slightly counterculture anyway? So this is all a bit mainstream, isn't it?
Is Steam mainstream?
Well, yes and no. It's like a platform for indie games, but like nowadays indie games can like break out or something like that. But someone like Zendaya is like a Hollywood star.
It's a good name though.
I think that's probably part of the reason for her success. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
like
so.
Like Tom Cruise, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Is that his real name? Like, there's plenty of people.
No, his real name's Jim Cruise, but there was already a Jim Cruise, so he had to change it to Tom.
There's someone exactly like that in Hollywood who's actually like, what is it? Or am I thinking of the Hulk? Yeah, okay. So his actual name is Thomas Cruise Mapother the Fourth.
Yeah.
Decided not to go for Mapother the Fourth in his.
He's like another Mapother.
Yeah, of course. Do you trust him?
Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
To do what? To bring out another fantastic Mission Impossible movie? Yes, I certainly do.
Anything else at this point?
What's the other franchises that I've seen him be good in? Yeah, I reckon the reboot of the plane one.
Really, though? Do you?
Yeah, I reckon that'll be good.
Have you seen him get the medal at the Scientology thing?
Yeah, he nailed that. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Absolutely nailed it. Knocked it out of the park.
It's so good. It's such a self-important ceremony as well. Look how
proceeding with great rapidity up the bridge or whatever it is.
Yes. It's the bridge. Yeah.
You do have to proceed with great rapidity.
Well, I mean, ideally, if you want to get up the bridge.
I've got nothing against the Scientologists, with the exception of when they sell the kids on the boats, which seems a bit much.
What, on a contract for not only lifetime, but your next billion lifetimes? Like, is this enforceable?
Seems a bit much. Yeah,
perhaps on the edge, a bit much.
I like the whistleblowers who are like, I'll be honest, I myself did engage in some quite rough, I would only describe as horseplay using a cattle prod. But I am mostly blameless on all accounts. Right.
I've got to stop watching cult documentaries.
You love cult documentaries.
I know, but I think I've got to stop now. The pattern is too replicable. I've just seen 2 in a row, and it's the same thing every time. It's the same idea. It spirals out of control.
Yeah.
There's unfettered worship of the leader. Dodgy sexual stuff starts to happen.
They're not going to do they never do documentaries about the cults that just proceed quite normally, do they? What about the cults that have a very democratic status and the leader's actually quite dull, but very, very good at admin?
Yeah.
It's not a great 10-part series on that one.
No. Well, instead we get, the one I watched was about, do you know LuLaRoe?
No. Go on.
They sell leggings. It's MLM.
I mean, the leggings seems harmless.
The leggings is legit. Unfortunately, it very much is a pyramid scheme. And like all scams, they are like kind of hiding in plain sight. Their logo looks a lot like a pyramid. And then there's a leaked internal video where he's like, we got to get away from being a pyramid scheme. And then in the deposition, he's like, you're not a pyramid scheme.
I'm saying we got to get away from it. How can we be a pyramid scheme? Yeah.
It's pretty good. But my favorite cult, and then I want to know your favorite cult, is this one. And I think it maybe follows the rule that you just said about like, it's just kind of chill. Oh, wait, arrested. Okay. All right, I didn't know he's arrested. But he's in this remote part of Russia and he dresses as Jesus and he claims he is Jesus. And people just kind of follow him around and go, there he is. And now he's in prison. I didn't know this was going to end this way. Okay. Sorry, it took a dark turn. Before he was just, he was this guy, which was all good. But now he's been arrested. He's no longer all good. Oh dear. What's your favorite cult?
Well, controversially, I believe the word cult to be a phrase that's just been invented by organized religion to distinguish them from more quirky things. So can I tell you something that would be shocking if I was a 14-year-old boy?
It would be shocking. It would shock and confuse you and amaze you.
And confuse. My favorite cult is Christianity.
Oh, you dick. I just hang up.
Exactly. But this was the one this was the one I wanted to tell you about Christianity, about how old I felt when I went to it was a wedding in a church.
Yeah.
An uncontroversial place to have a wedding.
Sure,
you
traditional, if anything.
You may believe. But the reception was also in the church, which meant there was quite a lot of drinks and dancing in the church. And it was one of those churches that's got the Jesus on the cross.
Right.
You know, the big one, like absolutely massive. Like
Catholic style.
Yeah, I don't know the names of all
the one where they're really ramming home. You can see the nails. He's really hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, I don't think this guy's hanging on. Yeah, exactly. Like, he's there looking down on us.
Yeah,
and we're like yucking it up to the Black Eyed Peas or something. And I just became incredibly aware of how shredded Jesus is. He's got like 4% body fat or something like that. It's like he's got the V cut. He's got the gutters. He's got the full
cum guys. I mean, he's on paleo diet.
I mean, I think maybe something more extreme than that.
What do you mean? The Son of God diet?
Like, what's the one where it's 1 meal a day? No meals a day?
No, there's no meals a day diet. That's starvation.
There's do you know the breatharians?
Yeah, they're full of shit. They say they can exist on breathing alone, but I mean, obviously, the body needs nutrients every single.
And there's that story about him seeing the founder like going into a back room and eating a sandwich and being like, "What sandwich? I never eat a sandwich."
Yeah, and he's like, "Look, I am eating a sandwich. I don't need to, but it's one of the air sandwiches that people are so into these days."
Yeah, but exactly. Jesus is shred. It's just cut. Like he's there, and I was like, it's harshing my vibe. I feel podgy in the face of like Jesus. I'm trying to like strut my stuff to Amy Winehouse.
But you're having drinks. You're having nibbles. None of that. You're looking at Jesus. You're like, he's not having drinks and nibbles.
The guy's he's just doing 1,000 sit-ups every morning, just crunching the hell out of it and eating celery.
But that's the Jesus they've chosen to go for, right? Because
it's an unrealistic body image that they are pushing. Is that what you're saying?
Allow me to show you Cristiano Ronaldo, okay?
It's very much our Jesus. Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, is our Jesus. Is there not like a fat Jesus?
Jolly Jesus.
You know, there's the fat Buddha, although actually I looked into that. That's not like Buddha. That's just a monk who like became enlightened. It's not like
saying something's name twice to make it is really good. It's not Buddha. It's just Buddha. It's not Buddha. It's Buddha. Like the word just stops me. Really it's Tom. He's not being very Tom, but he's still Tom, you know? Maybe he's not Tom.
I always think that with do and do, because obviously do is do, but also I do that.
I love do that. I like it on the news when they say, it seems to be positive, but, and it's a big but, I'm like, go on.
How big?
Go on. Hello with the big butt.
How shredded was this Jesus? Because I went to a wedding in New York in a Catholic church, and the priest giving the sermon at one point, you know, they'd just basically exchanged rings, and he's like, you know, this is very important. This is a sacred vow. And I mean, you only have to look here. That's how serious it is. And he's just pointing at this, you know, dead god who's been nailed onto some wood. And he's like, huh? How about that? And everyone's like,
Jesus a bachelor.
Jesus is not a bachelor. He's married.
Who to?
Mary?
Mrs. Jesus. That's
Now
his mum.
Listen, here's shredded Jesus, right?
He's not shredded though. That's swole Jesus.
This is swole. Sorry. I mean, I've just looked up shredded Jesus.
Yeah. No, I know.
So I'm guessing he didn't have traps or biceps. He just had a six-pack.
He was like desiccated. He was getting
lean.
ready. He was getting ready for a role where he's a Holocaust survivor.
But a ripped one? No. You mean like when you see like the photos of like I just saw one the other day of the they're an Amazon tribe that are like a farming and a hunting gathering tribe, and they're all just in like the best shape of their life because they do a lot of walking and hunting every day, and they
just hope they don't get cut on a nail.
Yeah, basically. If they do, it's because it's going to be bad. But for the time they were here, they were ripped.
That's like the opposite of what's going to go on my tomb. For the time he was here, he was ripped. What's that one where Christian Bale got absolutely like nothing to him for that role?
That's The Machinist. There's Christian Bale goes up and down between weights in like, look at that, mate. He's gonna die young for this shit he's doing because that's really bad on your body. Yeah, and then he goes. Did you see him as Cheney? So think of him there, then think of him as Cheney in Vice. He didn't wear a fat suit. He just got like fat. So he's just this.
And
big.
that was over one summer. He did that as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. And
he
then,
just got.
Yeah, how many eggs a day?
Chop them down. So I was talking to a young person at the wedding.
Okay.
I would guess she was in her 20s.
Sure.
And I was saying that I thought having the shredded Jesus there was essentially, it's like a microaggression against me.
Was he only small?
Well, in tiny little Jesus. Tiny. He's Jesus. He's not Jesus. He's Jesus.
Right, he's Jesus.
And I was like, essentially what I'm saying is Jesus asked to touch my hair. And I think it was the first time that I've been really aware of someone looking at me being like, all right, Dad, shut up.
Really?
Big time.
Did you think you were bringing some kind of Bantz energy?
I'm bringing, that's Bantz. That's not just Bantz, that's Bantz.
Well,
no, it landed, but also she was like surprised that someone as old as me would make a joke about touching hair.
Oh, right. Well, and felt like it wasn't okay in some way for you to do that?
No, she was surprised. She was like, I've misunderstood him. I thought he was probably going to talk about the Antiques Roadshow and Morse, but...
right, and then move on to LTNs. Now, are you saying...
I've got a lot of views about the LTNs.
I don't want to hear any of them.
I think it's good that they're free, but I think you should only have to be isolated for 5 days.
Okay, well, it seems like you've got your way. What do you think about Novak? Do you think he's going to get to play?
Would you buy an NFT of Novak's LTN? Is my question.
Oh, BYB.
Novak. He's Novak.
I like the one. Right now, he's Novak.
He's full Novak. I like that one of the reasons they got him was like, he was like, I came here straight from Serbia. And they're like, what about this video of you being in Spain? He was like, sure. I mean, I've been to Spain. Does that count as a separate country to Serbia? You can't say anything these days.
Pretty good. I like the way he said, yeah, I went to a photo shoot with this journalist and I had COVID because I didn't want to let him down.
Yeah. A man's word is his bond. And this journalist that I've never met before wanted me to wear a suit and get in a swimming pool. And I just don't say no to that kind of stuff. I can't
say no to that. He's going home, isn't he? You're going home in a fucking... I don't know.
I reckon...
you think he'll be able to circumvent the rules?
What is it? Krusty, this is America. We don't send our celebrities to jail. Yeah. I'm sure Novak Djokovic will be okay. That's my strong prediction.
Big picture, he'll be okay. It's sort of like Prince Andrew, but short term, stripped of all like royal patronages and all that stuff. Like just
stripped.
Breaking news. Stripped.
Stripped and ripped. That's Andrew. Prince Andrew just walking nude along the mall, shouting at people, "Fight me!"
But he can't get ripped, dude, because you have to be able to sweat to get ripped, and he is unable to sweat.
Common misconception. You get ripped through diet, not exercise.
So that's what you're saying Jesus' thing was. He never did a press up or sit up in his life. What was he eating? Presumably not aquafaba.
Do you think Iggy Pop got a six-pack from doing sit-ups? No. He got a six-pack through doing heroin and not eating anything for 10 years.
Have you seen his live shows? He's explosively active. Thank you very much.
Explosively active. Do you know the one?
Probably is.
The one that made me the saddest.
Yeah.
Was, are you aware of Chidi from The Good Place?
I think so. There's the three main characters, right? There's the old white guy, the young white woman, and the young black dude. So
he's not meant to be that young because he's meant to be like a philosophy professor. So he's youngish.
Okay, yeah. So he's okay. That's Chidi.
Yeah. So he's like, but he's meant to be like teaching about philosophy and fuddy-duddy and with his books, and he's a bit of a Dorcas. And he doesn't know about the way of the world.
I've seen the trolley problem clip.
Yeah, exactly. And he's talking about Aristotle and all the rest of it. Yeah. And then at one point he has to take his top off. Shred. Absolutely shred. Like Prince Andrew wishes he could get to that level. Like
Prince Andrew might be wearing a fat suit, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he's very method, Prince Andrew.
Yeah. Oh, he's ripped. There he is.
It made me so sad. I was like, oh, Chidi's ripped. What's going on?
He doesn't need to be.
It's not only that he doesn't need to be, it actually takes away from it.
Because he's a philosophy professor.
His character's meant to be this like goofy, unreal.
How did he get ripped and also teach so much philosophy?
I don't think he really taught philosophy. I think he's an actor.
I see.
I think the number of philosophy professors who look like that with their top off is very, I would say it's slim. It's slim pickings.
They're really interested in physical fitness, philosophy professors.
I think in the ancient Greece, they were well into it. They used to exercise in the nude and all of that. Not Socrates, I guess. He's ugly as all sod in hell.
How do you know?
He's famously very ugly dude.
Says who? People who wrote shit about him.
Socrates.
He didn't write anything down. Socrates wrote nothing down.
I said he said it.
Well, how do you know? Because someone else wrote it down.
No, I was there.
Okay, clear.
I'm going to read you this Thomas Hardy poem before I go.
Holy shit. We're going serious. Let's get there.
The Shadow on the Stone. I went by the druid stone that broods in the garden white and lone, and I stopped and looked at the shifting shadows that at some moments fall thereon from the tree hard by with a rhythmic swing, and they shaped in my imagining to the shade that a well-known head and shoulders threw there when she was gardening. I thought her behind my back. Yes, her I long had learned to lack. And I said, I'm sure you're standing behind me. How do you get into this old track? And there was no sound but the fall of a leaf and a sad response. And to keep down grief, I would not turn my head to discover that there was nothing in my belief. Yet I wanted to look and see that nobody stood at the back of me. But I thought once more, nay, I'll not unvision a shape which somehow there may be. So I went on softly from the glade and left her behind me, throwing her shade. And she were indeed an apparition, my head unturned, lest my dream should fade.
Cool.
Actually, when he looks around, she's shredded. She's just like, bosh, I've been eating 1,000 eggs a day, mate.
There's one point in which it says head and shoulders, and for about the next stanza, I was thinking, does he mean head and shoulders?
It's the only one that Joe Hart uses. All right, man, I'm going to go. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Love you, man.
All right.
Take it easy and breezy. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the show. If you've enjoyed it, please give us 5 stars and consider becoming a subscriber and maybe even supporting us on Patreon. Really helps me continue making this show. If you haven't enjoyed it, then you can fuck off. Many thanks to Nils Hennis Steer for the amazing music and to Dave Fox for the cool artwork. Please keep coming back every week for more Bliss of the Abyss.
Message 1.